Living by the river is a dream for many of us. And the idea of sitting back on the porch in the sunshine, soaking up the cooling breeze, watching swans drift by on the meandering current, observing the pleasure craft. In truth, though, the reality can be much more brutal, especially when the weather's bad. The rain sluices down, the river suddenly bursts its banks, and you find your house flooded, which is quite the set of problems, isn't it? That's what our first long-listed house has to contend with. It's on a floodplain by the River Loddon in Berkshire. This is River House. Long, isn't it? Long and tall, lifted above the riverbank on 2-metre stilts. This leggy supermodel of a building is dressed in shimmering silver cladding with a svelte, angular interior. It's a glamorous, glorious place to while away the hours. It's home to Tony, a semi-retired consultant surgeon, and Charlotte, who worked in the art world. Both dreamed of retiring to the riverbank. But this maybe wasn't what they had in mind, although they seemed to enjoy it.
It's really exciting.
Absolutely.
Well, garden furniture, what do you do about that?
Well, that gets tied to the tree.
It's tied to the tree.
And everything else gets put in the garage. So there's
Okay.
nothing, you cannot have anything under the house.
So it's a great way to enforce a kind of radical minimalism on the landscaping,
Actually, yes.
isn't it? You just...
And you can't plant anything, so gardening's a
Yeah.
wheeze, really.
You don't realise about flooding until you live in it. It's not like having a swimming pool at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
It's actually fast-flowing, aggressive water. You know, if you come down the stairs into the flood, you really have to be very careful not to lose your footing.
Get swept away.
Absolutely. Wade to the car and then drive to the shops, fill up with bread and milk, and drive back and hope for the best.
And when you're 80 and 90, I mean, you're still going to do that? Is that the plan?
Not sure.
Is this a younger person's
I think
house?
so. Yes,
we
it is.
perhaps haven't thought it through quite as well as we should have done.
It's inspired by 20th century modernist pavilions that took advantage of steel frame technology to provide huge glass walls to let the landscape in. In this case, to one vast living space.
We have kitchen, dining, living all in one place.
Yeah.
So it's 3 rooms in one, really.
For an open-plan room, it's remarkably tidy. Kitchen clutter can be all hidden away in a nook at the far end. The fireplace is neatly tucked into a structural column. And the TV is, where exactly?
It was designed specially.
For one big telly. Yes.
It's great to watch, but you don't want to stare at it.
The fishermen across the river can watch the football or the cricket.
Quite easily.
Yeah.
But the real viewing experience is out there. This opening is vast.
It's 50 foot.
Well, that's quite big. In the architect's initial design, however, this spectacular vista was interrupted.
Originally, the roof would have been held up by steel columns, probably 4 or 6 of them. But it would just ruin the view, wouldn't it? But it did take me 6 months of looking at the design to notice the columns, so I'm a bit embarrassed about that because the redesign cost us 3 months.
How much did it cost in pound notes?
I actually have no idea.
know.
But to be fair to say, a lot.
I'm doing a rough calculation in my head into the tens of thousands.
Yeah, don't tell me, I'll get depressed.
Tony and Charlotte's expensive decision to replace the columns with invisible steel beams hidden in the roof and remaining 3 walls was worth every 1,000. Their hands-on approach was admired by the RIBA judges, who spotted their personal touch in the morning terrace they requested at the eastern end, and some of the interior details that echo the external cladding, like the run of bespoke birch plywood cabinets in the hall. It's like a runway rather than a hallway. These run all the way down.
They do. 34 metres of
Am I allowed to look in?
Yeah.
Not that one.
Yeah, I just did.
That's my cake.
And it's not only the joinery that carries you through this house. The lighting is driving you all the way down the building. It's like something from a science fiction movie.
We like the effect because it's just one strip.
Which takes you all the way down to the master bedroom at the far end. As every good modernist building does, River House separates public and private areas. An open-air terrace divides the main living space from the bedroom wing, which contains 2 private studies. River House is sufficiently original and creative while fitting a great modernist tradition. It belongs right now while drawing on a history of ideas. This house, you know, has many antecedents, all those beautiful villas and pavilions, long, stretched, rectangular objects in the landscape that engage effortlessly with their surroundings. The thing is, if you want to build in that idiom, you've got to add to the conversation. And boy, does this building do that. It is bigger, taller, longer. It truly goes above and beyond